Hello everyone, I am Dr. Eric Morrison. This is 7 out of 3, and I'll be covering trading education, more specifically FOREX trading, using the TC2000 and TradingView platforms. Hello, this is the FOREX Week in Review for Friday, the 18th of August. And we'll start off with the dollar. As far as the overall dollar is concerned, we're looking at the strength of each of the currency futures for the week, and it's looking like the dollar is the strongest out of all of them. And it has this initial surge forward, but it has formed what they call a consolidation zone. So just be careful here in terms of trading. This may be a turnover point. If it breaks this consolidation zone, dollar is going to continue to go up, and it has potential room for the upside for at least 5R. So looking at going into next week, the dollar is the strongest out of all the currencies. So we will be looking at that. But close second behind it is the British pound, and we'll see if there's any kind of reversals that happen next week. But currently, right now, the dollar is the strongest. So from our picks this week, we did one weekly trades for all of these picks. We had Aussie dollar Swiss franc, and from the previous week, this was a one lot trade short to the downside. And as you can see, beautiful trades all the way down for the past 9 weeks. So we had this up week right here on week 10, but look at all of this short ranges here for the Aussie dollar Swiss franc, and we still have potential all the way down to the Z3 for next week. So this will be a pick for next week as well. We also picked Aussie dollar US dollar. Now this count was a little bit different because the dollar was the strongest with the Aussie dollar, and we had at least a 1-to-1 on that beautiful trade all the way down to the Z3, and so we had a 1-2 count to the downside, and with a nice overall gain of 2 times the overall one lot here. So this was a beautiful trade to the downside, and we will not be trading it because we don't have a 1-to-1 to the downside for next week. Canadian dollar Swiss franc, we just had a 1 count, and it was overall gain of $83.84 to the downside for a 1-week trade. Euro Swiss franc, this was a short, and this was a 1-2 count because we were crowded out long on the long side, so it was a nice squeeze. We had a little bit less than break even on the overall 2 count. British pound Swiss franc, this was an overall loss to the high of the previous weeks. Yeah, this is overall 1 count, and it went ahead and hit our stop. This was the only loss though, along with Euro Swiss franc that we had out of the shorts. Overall gain for New Zealand Swiss franc, this was a 1-2 count for double the gain here, $224. Aussie dollar Japanese yen, at the start of the week, pretty good as an overall trade. However, this 1 count went ahead and stopped us out here. Canadian dollar Japanese yen, this was a 1-2 count, and so we had double loss on Canadian dollar Japanese yen. This was a 1-2 count for Swiss franc Japanese yen, so we had double loss here for Swiss franc Japanese yen. Japanese yen pairs on the last day started to decline. Swiss franc South African rand, we had a 1 count, and so we had this overall loss for Swiss franc South African rand. Euro Aussie dollar, however, we had a 1 count to the upside, went ahead and hit our target to the upside. Euro Japanese yen, we had a 1-2 count for double loss on $392 for Euro Japanese yen. Euro South African rand, we had a 1 count, and we had a 1 standard lot loss of $541. British pound Aussie dollar, beautiful count here. We had a 1-2 count and double the gain of British pound Aussie dollar for $2,237 gain. Very strong gain for British pound Aussie dollar. And we will be going into next week with this trade too as well. British pound Canadian dollar, nice overall gain on a 1 count. However, there was a stop placement order at the low of the previous week, and we were stopped out for this, which negated this overall gain. British pound Japanese yen, we had a 1-2 count going forward for double the gain on British pound Japanese yen. British pound New Zealand dollar, British pound pairs did amazing. We had a 2 count a 1-2 count here for double the gain on British pound New Zealand dollar, $1,732 times 2. British pound South African rand, we had a 1 count going forward and a nice $670 gain. US dollar Canadian dollar, we had a nice 2 count. So we got one on the futures, one on the overall, but it has formed a C zone here, so going into next week, but we had this nice gain of $782 times 2. US dollar Japanese yen, we had a 1-2-3 count, so 3 times the 297 for a nice overall gain for the week for US dollar Japanese yen. US dollar South African rand, we had a 2 count for double the gain of $175. And since the US dollar pairs were strong on the futures, I looked at some of the other pairs that didn't meet my criteria here. This was US dollar Swiss franc below the dragon. However, with the US dollar futures up there as the strongest, this continued to its overall price action to the long side. However, the commitment traders wasn't crowded out on the long side. It was still going up and drifting up for the week. Euro US dollar, I did take this. We did have a crowding out on the long side, so this overall squeeze was happening to all of the retail and institutional traders, and it was below the dragon, so it was a 1-2-3 count to the short side, so 3 times 741. Nice overall gain. British pound US dollar did have the dollar as the strongest currency. However, we didn't have a 1-to-1. We also had a C zone followed by the RL270 right there, so I didn't have a 1-to-1 for that direction, so I didn't take this overall trade. Zealand US dollar, same thing. Nice overall setup for a 1-2 trade. However, the distance between previous week and the Z3 did not have a good 1-to-1. So I didn't take this trade. So like I said, going into next week, we're looking at Aussie dollar Swiss franc for a 1 count. British pound Swiss franc for a 1 count. It's not the strongest. However, we do have an FTM for that particular direction to the long side. Zealand Swiss franc for a 1 count. Aussie dollar Japanese yen, we don't have a good 1-to-1 yet. It's in the C zone followed by the RL270. No trade on Canadian dollar Japanese yen. No trade on Swiss franc Japanese yen. No trade on Swiss franc South African rand. Your Aussie dollar is currently at the Z3. We have to wait for a close above the Z3 before we utilize the Z3 itself as opposed to the Z3 excursion. No trade on Euro Japanese yen. No trade on Euro South African rand. Continued trade. Nice 1-to-1 here with British pound Aussie dollar to the upside. No trade for British pound Canadian dollar. A 1 trade for British pound Japanese yen, 1 trade for British pound New Zealand dollar, and a 1 trade for British pound South African rand. US dollar Canadian dollar do have a C zone. However, nice overall distance to the next Z3. So it'll be a 1-2-3 lot to the upside. US dollar Japanese yen, we have a 1-2 lot to the upside, and it's now closed above the Z3. US dollar South African rand, we have a 1-2 lot to the upside with the Z3 as the overall target. US dollar Swiss franc, you have an overall 1 lot trade to the upside. Nice overall distance here to the RL270. Euro USD, we don't have a 1-to-1 to the RL270. Take that off. British pound US dollar, the US dollar is the strength. This is to the upside, no trade. Zealand US dollar, we're right next to the Z3, no trade. Aussie dollar Canadian dollar, got a nice close below the Z3 excursion. 1 lot to the downside. Aussie dollar New Zealand dollar, we got a nice 1 lot trade to the 200 here to the short side. Euro Canadian dollar, we have a 1 lot trade to the upside. Euro British pound, we didn't have a 1-to-1 here, and now it's all the way down here at the Z3 and the C zone. No trade till it closed below that Z3 excursion. Euro New Zealand dollar, we're right at the Z3 here. No trade. Zealand Canadian dollar, we have a good 1-to-1 to the short side to this Z3. Zealand Japanese yen, we have a nice short here to the downside to this C zone / RL270 for a 2 lot trade. A 3 lot trade, we do have crowding out too as well. So we're looking at a 1-2-3 lot for New Zealand Japanese yen to the downside. And it's got a nice overall decline here. Kind of a lazy head and shoulders here to the downside. So looks like there's might be more potential to the downside for New Zealand Japanese yen. Now the two that I don't have as far as overall totals, but I am watching them, US dollar, Mexican peso did go up from previous week, even though they had both been strong against the other currencies, and it is crowded out to the short side. So these are some good longs to squeeze out the institutional retail traders. In South African Rand, Japanese yen did not have any significant movement past the RL270 here without a 1-to-1, and its overall gains on a one standard lot is not significant, so I just watch it. I don't trade it, and I may delete these from the overall tables. But because I have commitment to traders reports on them, futures as potential trades in the future, I just can keep my eye on them. So these are the trades for next week. We have Aussie dollar Swiss franc, New Zealand Swiss franc, Aussie dollar Canadian dollar, Aussie dollar New Zealand Canadian dollar, New Zealand Japanese yen to the short side. To the long side, we have British pound Swiss franc, British pound Aussie dollar, British pound Japanese yen, British pound New Zealand, British pound South African Rand, US dollar Canadian dollar, US dollar Japanese yen, US dollar South African Rand, US dollar Swiss franc, Euro Canadian dollar. A nice good 1-to-1 for those directions. So for the overall totals for 1 week, not too bad. Here for lot size and direction, not too shabby. If you're interested in this kind of strategy going forward in futures, Forex, and stock indices, and programming in both PineScript and Python, click on the links below. And remember, ruthless risk management. Have a great weekend, everybody. And I'll see you for the 1 week trades here for the Forex, majors and minors, and South African Rand. Well, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like rumble button below and the subscribe button. And if you want more information, go ahead and click the course information links below. On the TradingView link and on TC2000, I have an affiliate link. If you open up a TC2000 account, you will receive a $25 discount using that link. Thank you for your time.